Shalom, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Pulse of Israel. I am your host, Avi Abelo, here in our eternal and ancestral homeland, the land of Israel. So, everyone, you guys know, unfortunately, social media has been changing a bit here and there, and censorship is growing. That means people don't necessarily see our videos as much as before. The best way to support us and continue seeing our videos is to go to pulseofisrael.com and sign up for our newsletter so that you can continue to receive our videos and share them. And if you are already a subscriber to our video newsletter on pulseofisrael.com, thank you. All right, I am going to be bringing in Naama Zarbiv. Naama today is going to be talking about what happened to Israel, the focus of some institutions here in Israel this year for Women's Day, for International Women's Day. So let's bring her in. Shalom, Naama. How are you today?
Baruch Hashem, Mitzuyan.
Wonderful. And again, for those who are not familiar with my videos with Naama, I will be asking Naama the questions in English. Naama will be answering in Hebrew, and then I will be translating in English. So far she said, thank God she's doing well.
תזכיר שאני שוברות שוויון, כן?
Yes. I'm sorry. Naama is the head of an organization called Shovrot Shivyon, which is an Israeli nonprofit focused on real feminism, motherhood, and family values to empower today's women based on their natural strengths. And you should know, Naama, that I made a post yesterday. It was a day after Women's Day, but I made a post basically thanking all of the women in my life for being the wonderful women who they are and highlighting the strengths and special attributes that women bring to the world that unfortunately today's modern society is trying to destroy and hide. So that was my way of showing appreciation for women. And basically I said any man who does not appreciate the strengths that the women in his life bring to his life, then he's missing out. He's missing out on making the most of his own life by not understanding the strength that the woman brings that a man doesn't have. So let's go right into it. Women's Day, Naama. What happened in Israel this year that you want to focus upon? What was different?
Okay, so השנה הזאת, הופתענו לראות איך יום האישה הפך שוב ליום חג הקורבן, יום הצער והאומללות.
Okay, so Naama is saying that this year we were surprised to see that International Women's Day was used to focus on women being the victim, right? It wasn't focused on helping celebrate women. It was used to focus on women being a victim, and we're going to find out in what way.
כן, ולמה זה? כי בעצם כל התפיסה אומרת, ככל שאני יותר מסכן, ככל שאני יותר מדוכא, אז מגיע לי יותר תשומת לב.
Okay, so now I'm not saying why is this. So again, it's focusing on the woman in terms of being abused by men. That's the focus of the campaign. Now I'm going to be detailing for us in a second, and she's explaining why. Why is this? Why is that part of the focus for Women's Day? Because in today's methodology, in that world pushing this agenda, it's all about trying to make the woman look to be weak
מדכא ומדוכא, תתרגם מדכא ומדוכא. כל העולם הוא לפי מי שיותר מדוכא, יותר מסכן.
Right, so now it's going today's world once again goes according to being the oppressed and the oppressor, and it's the going along with the focus that women are oppressed and it's the men who are the oppressors. So that was the focus of Women's Day. So where did we see this focus and how?
Okay, אז אתה יכול להעלות את התמונות היפות?
Yeah, so I'm going to be showing these pictures.
בינתיים אני אסביר שיש לנו תמונות מאוד מאוד יפות מרשת לכלי בית ולעוד מוצרים שנקראת משביר לצרכן, ומה שהם עשו, הם כתבו על כל מוצר תזכורת ליום האישה, תראה, פשוט תתרגם.
So I'm about to show pictures. I'm about to show pictures that Naama shared with me from a store. All right, so here we go. This is picture number 1. So what are we saying? It's hard for them to see, but this picture number 1, looks nice. It's a piece of jewelry. What's the problem with this piece of jewelry, Naama? What are we missing?
על התכשיטים האלה יש תזכורת ליום האישה. תכשיטים לא נועדו לפצות אותך. וזה כמובן רומז על בעל מכה שקונה לאשתו תכשיטים בתור שהוא מצטער על זה שהוא היכה אותה, כן? תתרגם את זה ונראה את התמונה השנייה.
Yes, so Naama's telling us that this picture of this necklace says this is special for International Women's Day, and you can't make up for yourself by buying her a piece of jewelry, right? That's the focus.
נכון, שים את התמונה הבאה.
Okay, right again. So if you're a man, then they don't think you can get away with covering up the bad things you did to her by giving her a piece of jewelry. All right, let's go to the next one. Okay, what are we looking at here?
אנחנו רואים סכין.
So we see a picture of knives.
כן, וכתוב תזכורת ליום האישה. סכין נועד רק לחיתוך של אוכל.
Wow. So it says this is special for Women's Day, like it's a special tag for Women's Day. And a knife is only supposed to be used for cutting food. All right. Okay. Again, the patient is saying that a man shouldn't use it to hurt a woman. Okay. Let's go to the next one.
כן. אולי תקרית, תעבור עוד אחד הלאה. טוב, גם חגורה.
Now this one, this is a picture of a belt. Also, a reminder for Women's Day, a belt.
כן, תזכורת ליום האישה, חגורה נועדה רק להידוק המכנסיים.
Wow, so a belt is only supposed to be used for tightening your pants. This is actually written on special tags.
אקסטרה, כמו שאומרים, אקסטרה.
Right, right. All of these things, all of these products in the store are written with a special Women's Day message that's all about giving a message to the man, don't use this product in the wrong way with the woman. Okay, let's go to the next.
pillow. אותו דבר, פילו, כן, כרית לא נועדה, כרית נועדה רק להיות מתחת לראש.
Wow. Oh, wow. So it's saying this is a pillow. A pillow you're only supposed to use under someone's head. Again, a special note for Women's Day. A reminder to a man, don't put this on top of your woman's face. Wow.
נפסיק רגע את השיתוף תמונות, נסביר מה יש כאן בעצם.
Okay.
אז מה שבעצם יש כאן בעצם ניצול ציני של נשים שבאמת יכול להיות שנפגעות, כן, שנפגעות באמת, כדי לנצל את היום הזה ולהמשיך את הסכסוך ואת התדמית השקרית, עוד רגע אני אסביר למה זה שקר, את התדמית השקרית שבה כל גבר הוא אלים וכל אישה היא קורבן.
Wow. So Naama is saying that this campaign in this store, and we can mention the store's name, right? So it's Mashbir L'Tzarchan, a major chain of stores across Israel. This is how they labeled their products, special for Women's Day. And Naama is explaining it is a cynical manipulation of Women's Day to go according to the agenda of trying to make it look like all women are, or women in general, are abused by all men who are abusers. And I'm saying that it's a lie to give across that message, to generalize it for all of society. Okay, so what's the lie?
Okay, what's the lie? בישראל, למשל, לא נרצחות בשנה 25 נשים. ישראל היא המקום הכמעט הבטוח ביותר בעולם עבור נשים.
Okay, 1 second. So now I'm not saying that in Israel, I mean, what's the lie in terms of the focus of making it look like women are being abused and killed all the time, and all the men are abusers? Well, the actual number is 25 women in Israel were murdered for the last year, and that is one of the lowest of numbers in I guess Western countries in terms of women actually murdered in domestic abuse.
כי לא נרצחים 25 נשים בשנה, נרצחות 6 על ידי בני זוגן.
Oh, so she's saying that number isn't even true. That's the official number, but only 6 actually were killed by their partners.
הנתונים הם שקר.
Wow, the numbers themselves are a lie. Even saying 25 is a women killed by their partners is a lie. It was really only 6. Okay.
אפשר לראות את נתוני האמת בשנתונים של משטרת ישראל, בדיווחים של משרד הבריאות, אבל האמת לא מעניינת את ארגוני הנשים.
Wow, she's saying anyone could actually know the truth by following the actual numbers given over by the police, or at least asking to find out what the real numbers are. But they like to use this other number, which is higher, which is really a lie and doesn't give across the truth.
אם אתה סופר את כל הנשים שנרצחו לא רק על ידי בני זוגן, ונגיד שאתה אומר שזה 12, מה שהיה נגיד ב-2019, או נגיד 20, אז בוא נשאל את השאלה, כמה גברים נרצחים בשנה בישראל, אוקיי? אתה לא רוצה לדעת, מעל 80.
Okay, so Naama is saying that if you actually go according to the number of how many women were killed in a year, not necessarily in domestic abuse, but just in general, she's saying just like a few years ago, so the number was 12 total women, not all killed by domestic abuse. But then just focusing on that number is ignoring the fact of how many men were killed in society for that given year. Okay?
בשביל דוגמה למשל, בשנה האחרונה, עכשיו רגע, את הנתונים שבהם אישה מנסה לרצוח גבר, על זה אתה לא תשמע. לא ידברו על זה, זה לא פוליטיקלי קורקט.
Oh, so Naama is now saying, and one thing they never talk about is the amount of times that women tried to kill their partners. That is never spoken about, that is never raised, because it's not politically correct to talk about that, but that does happen.
אוקיי, לפי כל המחקרים, אלימות בין בני זוג היא סימטרית. אוקיי? גם בעולם. Okay.
So Naama is saying that according to all the studies, there is domestic abuse. 2, there's domestic abuse, but it's symmetrical, both of men who use domestic abuse against women and women who use domestic abuse against their male partners. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
כן, יכול להיות שנעשה תוכנית מיוחדת על נושא האלימות, כי היום זה יום האישה, אז אנחנו רוצים רק להתמקד בכמה נקודות לאן לקחו את יום האישה.
Okay, so now I'm not saying maybe we'll do one program just focused on domestic abuse and going for more
violence,
of a deep dive into that.
Abuse, violence, יותר אלימות, לא?
Abuse. Okay. Abuse, violence in between partners. So we'll do that another time. Now we're just focusing on the issues connected to this.
כן, אולי רק נגיד מה זה הסכסוך הזה בין גברים לנשים. אז יש כל מיני פרסומות שכל הזמן מתארות את הגברים כמסוכנים, ואנחנו מכירים ציטוט למשל של מישהי שהייתה ראש החוג למגדר, שאמרה בזמנו, הדבר המסוכן ביותר לאישה זה להינשא לאיש.
Wow. Okay. Who is that? So Naama's giving us a quote. I'll find out exactly. It's a person who was in charge of
לימודי מגדר באוניברסיטת תל אביב.
Wow. Someone in charge of identity studies at the University of Tel Aviv. I imagine it was a woman in charge of this, who said that the worst situation, the most dangerous situation for a woman is to be married to a man. Wow.
זה מה שיש פה בבסיס הסכסוך בין גברים ונשים.
And she said that's basically the basis of the methodology about relationships between men and women behind this whole identity agenda.
נכון. עכשיו בוא נראה עוד דוגמה אחרת ליום האישה. בסדר? תעלה את התמונה ששיתפתי לך על המילה פרקליטים.
Okay, so now Naama's gonna go on another. I don't see. Okay, here we go. We're gonna see another picture of another organization. Ready? Let's share the screen to show it.
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
יפה.
What are we looking at, Naama?
הפרקליטות של המדינה.
All right, so this is part of the justice system. This is the Attorney General's.
לכבוד יום האישה, השתמשה בכתיבה המגדרית. המגדרית זה להפוך את האותיות בעברית, ככה שהם כאילו יתאימו גם לגברים וגם לנשים.
Wait, what? By what? By looking at the
לקחו את המילה והפכו אותה למילה שהיא אותיות שנקראות המגדריות. אותיות שכאילו בנו אותם אותיות חדשות.
Oh, okay, I got it. All right.
הן לא שייכות לאף מגדר.
All right, so the name of this government institution, I'm going to read it in Hebrew, is called Praklitut. Okay?
And Praklitim, Praklitot.
Right, right. Okay, so the name of the organization is called Praklitut. but for International Women's Day, they changed the way the word was written in Hebrew to basically say to say the men's
for the men and for the women
and the women. It took away the general term that refers to all of them, and the way they wrote with the text was trying to include both the men and the women in a different way. Okay. So what's the matter with that, Naama?
יופי, תוריד חזרה את התמונה, אני אסביר לך. אז
Okay,
מה הבעיה כאן?
What's the problem with that? Yes.
לכאורה, אנשים אומרים, הנה, מתחשבים בנשים, האותיות הן גם בשבילכם.
Right, so Naama is saying, wait a second, some people are going to say, well, it's wonderful. Now they're being more inclusive of the way they're writing it so that we're part of it. We're not being excluded. We're part of it, putting a focus of including the female lawyers part of it.
אז יש פה שתי טענות. אחת, מי שכתבה את השפה אמרה גם שהמטרה זה לעזור לנשים שהם ירגישו בשפה. שוב, כאילו היינו מודרות, כאילו לא התייחסו אלינו, כאילו אנחנו מסכנות, ועכשיו עשו בשבילנו אותיות חדשות. זה אחד.
Okay, so now I'm saying there's two claims against what's wrong with this. Number one is basically the basis saying like the way the general correct Hebrew linguistic way of saying the word is, they say, is wrong, and it shows that women are oppressed. Therefore, they have to change the word to show that women should not be oppressed anymore by the way the word is written or said. Okay, and what's claim number two?
הסיבה השנייה שהם אומרים, שהאותיות האלה הן המגדריות, זאת אומרת, הן מתאימות גם לגברים וגם לנשים, ובעצם התפיסה שאומרת גם וגם, זו התפיסה שרוצה למחוק נשים, להגיד שנשים וגברים זה אותו דבר, ואנחנו שונים. זו התפיסה ששוב מחליפה את כל העולם למשהו שטוח, במקום העומק שלנו כנשים והעומק שלנו כגברים. אל תיקחו לנו את הייחודיות שלנו. Okay.
Got it. Interesting. Again, so claim number two is what's wrong with changing the way they wrote this word, which again is a word that is generic, that refers to everyone. But by them deciding, you know what, we have to write it in such a way to show that women that women have their own word. It's basically getting rid of the say it again. It's issue.
אוקיי. מחפשים שפה שמתאימה לכל המגדרים, כי בעצם אומרים, כולנו שווים. בוא נמחק את הייחוד של כל אחד. אין בעולם גברים ונשים, אנחנו אותו דבר. אוקיי? אנחנו יכולים להיות גם על הרצף.
Right. Okay, so again, the need for this is basically in a way to show that we're the same. Men and women are the same, and therefore we need a word that's separate from men and women to show that we're the same, which in a sense erases the uniqueness and the specialness and the strengths of women. Though there's no need for another word of how to write it, because it's understood. We're all men and women are part of this department. Each one is special. Each one has their strengths and weaknesses. But by having to say, oh no, we have to use this special word just to apply to women, it actually hurts the cause of women in trying to say, oh, we're all equal and there's nothing special about us.
נכון, אפילו נגיד יותר מזה, אנשים שמחזיקים בתפיסות האלה של הכתיבה המגדרית, זה לא תפיסה שמתחשבת במישהו אחר, אוקיי? אלא, תיתן את התרגום לפה ואז אני אגיד לך את האלה.
Okay, interesting. So now I'm now saying that it's not coming from a place, this need to be separating and these special words and stuff for women is not coming from a place to be more inclusive, okay? Rather, it's coming from a place to...
כמו שמופיע במטרות של אחד הארגונים שכתוב שהמטרה שלהם לפרק את הדיכוטומיה המגדרית הדכאנית. אני אסביר את זה. לפרק את הדיכוטומיה הדכאנית המגדרית. זאת אומרת, החלוקה של העולם לגברים ונשים, זה מאוד מאוד מדכא. זה מדכא אותי להיות שייכת לנשים, וזה מדכא אותך להיות שייך לגברים, נפרק את החלוקה הדכאנית. Okay.
Right. So Naama is explaining that the head of one of these organizations behind this agenda is saying the reason for this agenda is to destroy, is to tear apart the dichotomy of the differences between men and women.
בגלל שזה מדכא אותנו להיות שייכים לקבוצה.
Because it oppresses them. The whole focus on men and women being different is oppressive to women. So this whole agenda is not about being inclusive. It's rather...
כל מסגרת היא בעצם כובלת אותנו. לכן אנחנו לא רוצים להיות שייכים לנשים ולא לגברים ולא שייכים למשפחה ולא שייכים ללאום. שוב, הכל מתחבר.
Right. So now I'm saying that it's not coming from a place of inclusiveness and to make the world a better place. It's coming from a place. They basically say every position is oppressive to women. Marriage is oppressive to women. A family is oppressive to women. It's all coming. It's not coming from a place to make the world better. It's coming from a place to destroy the dichotomy of the way men and women are understood in this world and the differences between them. Because in order to...
באותה דרך זה גם מדכא אותך להיות שייך לעם היהודי. כל שייכות היא מדכא.
Right. Anytime being associated with a group is oppressive, and that's part of what this whole ideology is about. Okay.
ונסיים. הדבר האחרון שקיבלנו ליום האישה היה...
Now we're going to finish with another thing that happens on International Women's Day here in Israel.
כן, הייתה התבטאות של שר החקלאות, שבאמת יש פה הרבה מדי ילודה, והולך להיות פה מאוד צפוף, והוא רק רוצה שנחשוב על זה, שיש כאן קצת יותר מדי ילודה. תסביר את זה ואני אתן תגובת סיום.
Yeah, so Naama is referring to a video that was made of one of the Israeli ministers speaking at an event, nothing connected to Women's Day, but it happened to take place on Women's Day, and he was talking about how the land of Israel is a small country, and we have a high birth rate, and little by little we're not going to have enough space, land to build because we have a high birth rate, and therefore the future must be focused on lowering the birth rate in Israel. This is a message that...
מה המסקנה מכל זה?
And what do we learn from all this?
שיש לנו הרבה עבודה.
We have a lot of work to do.
להקים משפחות ברוכות ילדים, לחזק נשים לחזור להיות שמחות באימהות שלהם, להשקיע באימהות, ואנחנו מצפים שביום האישה הבא, בראש הכותרות, תהיה לנו לא שאיפה לאיזה ראשת ממשלה, שאיפה לאימא עם 16 ילדים,
So now I'm saying, what's all the work we have to do? We have to work on strengthening the understanding and happiness from a family life, from having children, from having lots of children, and to stop putting the focus on trying to motivate women to be the prime minister of Israel, and instead give them the internal motivation to be happy, to have families and have children.
אולי אני אגיד אפילו עוד משהו.
All right, so now I was going to say even more.
היום ברוך השם אנחנו חיים עד 120.
Today we live very long lives until 120.
כמה שנים יש לנו להביא ילדים בתוך כל השנים האלה? 20 שנה? 20 שנה לבנות בסיס, אחר כך תעשה כל הדברים שאתה רוצה בעולם.
So now I'm going from our long lives, again, whether someone lives 80 years, whether someone lives 110 years, only 20 of those years is the time that a woman can have children. It's a very, very short period of time in the long life that we have. And we have to be motivated to take advantage of those years, not let them go by and pass by without having families.
דבר אחרון, כל אישה שאני שואלת אותה.
Every woman that I ask.
שהיא היום מנהלת או באיזשהו תפקיד ניהולי אחר.
Any woman that I ask that is in a managerial role in some organization, company.
יש שני סוגים של נשים. יש כאלה שקודם התמקדו במשפחה, לאט לאט בנו מקצוע והיום במקצוע.
So there are two types of women. One type of woman is the woman that first focused on having a family, and after having a family, then they went and built up their career.
ויש כאלה שישר התחילו בקריירה.
And the second group of women are those who went straight to building up a career and only later on then wanted to put focus on family.
וכל מי שהשקיע במשפחה נמצאת במקום שהיא שלמה עם הדרך. וכל מי שעשתה קודם קריירה, ואני שואלת אותה, אם היית יכולה להחזיר את הגלגל, כולם אומרים, הייתי עוד שעה בבית, הייתי במסיבה של ילד בגן, הייתי מביאה עוד ילד.
All right, so now I'm saying, so I asked all these women from both of these groups, all right, are you happy with your decision, with what you decided to do? She goes, all the women who decided first to have families and then develop their careers are very happy with their decisions. They wouldn't change a thing. All the women who she speaks to who chose to go for a career first and only much later to develop a family, or even when they had a family, still they were very much career focused and had very little time to spend with their kids. They all regret their decisions, how they were at work instead of being with the kids at a party or at this school event or that school event. And they regret putting that focus on career instead of family.
יפה, אז נסיים שניפגש ביום האישה בשנה הבאה. בעזרת השם, שיהיו הרבה משפחות גדולות.
So now I'm saying we're going to end with a blessing that we should get together next year on International Women's Day and hopefully see more of a focus on the spirit of the woman and the strengths of the woman and the strengths of the family and of children as well, unlike the focus that we experienced this year. Naama, thank you very much.
תודה רבה, תודה רבה.
All right. Again, everyone who came in the middle or the end, Naama is the head of a nonprofit organization called Shovrot Shivyon, which is a nonprofit here in Israel focused on real feminism, motherhood, and family values to empower today's women based on their natural strengths as a contra to the major efforts being made by modern society to basically destroy the strengths of women and womanhood in our society today. Thank you, Naama. Stay healthy.
תודה רבה רבה. להתראות.
להתראות. All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed another talk with Naama Zarbiv. Again, not many voices out there willing to go public and go against the tide of political correctness. That's why it's very important for me to have these talks with Naama and go through these issues so that all of you can also hear about them. If they're not on top of your mind or you're not paying attention to them, then hopefully you will be paying attention to them a little more, and definitely to pass these messages on to the next generation, not to be brainwashed by the anti-woman, the anti-identity, the anti-family, the anti-child agenda that is really very much part of our modern society in movies, television shows, social media, etc. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you did like it, please share. Signing off from the eternal and ancestral homeland of the Jewish people, this is Avi Abelo again for the Pulse of Israel. And if you are not yet subscribed to our video newsletter, please go to pulseofisrael.com and subscribe. Take care, everyone. Shalom. Thanks for watching.
Pulse of Israel, frontline videos from the Holy Land. Support our work by donating today.